Oh, okay. So the webinar is now live. So I'm Josh Howard, I'm the CEO of Vish, and today with us we have Derek Anthony, who's owner of Culture Curators and owner of D. Anthony Salon in New York. We have Allyson King, who's 360 Beauty Consulting, and she owns 2 salons in Brooklyn. And Michael Cole, very pleased to have him on the webinar. He's been a thought leader in this industry for a very long time. We connected. I don't know, Michael, how long was it? About 2 or 3 months ago now, and got the chance to connect a lot. So pretty excited about where things are going.
Me too.
So before I get you guys to introduce yourselves, I think we all have something in common, and that's that we've been through a tough year, but we see the innovation and we see the potential out of this disruption. So I guess Derek, we can start with you and just give a little bit of background on your company and your salon.
Awesome, sure. So again, I'm Derek Anthony. Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. I'm honored that I was asked to join this incredible panel of people. And thank you so much, Josh, for setting it up. And also Sabrina behind the scenes. So I own a hair salon, D. Anthony Hair Studio in Nyack, New York. So I'm about 45 minutes north of Midtown Manhattan. I've owned that salon for just under 10 years. It'll be 10 years this summer. And have navigated the same challenges that every salon owner has in America and obviously in my home state, New York. So quite a challenging year, but we're going to talk today about some really great ways that we're able to, make the most of what happened last year and then also propel forward from there. What I did was I partnered up with my business partner now, Jill Rohn, and her and I own outside of my salon a consulting coaching company called Culture Curators, and we've been helping salon owners. Jill's been helping salon owners for decades, and I've been working with other companies as well for a long time. So we decided to join forces during quarantine and support owners with group coaching and mastermind series. And we have a few of those going on now. We also do one-on-one coaching and consulting for salon owners. So really excited about the future for that and excited for 2021.
Thank you. And Allyson?
Yeah, hi. It's nice to see everyone today. Josh, thanks so much for having us on, and Sabrina for setting everything up. As my daughter always jokes, you can find out everything you want to know about somebody if you look on Google, but I'll give you the 1-second preview. So my husband and I own 2 great salons in Brooklyn, New York, called Hair & Co. Brooklyn. And obviously, like everyone these days, we've been navigating the year of 2020, just like everyone else has. And I think we've learned some really exciting things from it. So we'd love to be able to share some of those with you today. And we also own a company called Beauty 360 Consulting Group. We're the preferred provider for business education and one-on-one consulting for the Cal Salon division. And we really love spending time with salon owners, helping them find their potential and helping them take their businesses to their next level. And one of the things that we really specialize is really custom curating programs and support that fits exactly what that salon needs, so that there's no one cookie cutter approach. It's really dialing into what a salon owner needs based on where their business is today and how we take it to the next level.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And Michael, I guess you're like a clairvoyant in this industry. I was really impressed with just the conversations we've had, and just want to walk people through, I guess, your career and and what you do sort of day to day now.
Yeah, I love what Allyson said. Save us a lot of time. Just Google me, or hit in Michael Cole, and it'll take you to all the places that I live online. But it's been a good ride. The last 25 years or so, the work I do is powered by L'Oreal. I wear 2 hats. One, it's a summit hat, is something that I helped to put together forever ago. But these days, it's really working with, in conjunction with L'Oreal and their, I'm going to call it the top 1 or 2%, purely as a teacher. I get in trouble all the time when I show up giving advice, because it's been forever since I've owned salons. But being a hairdresser and a previous salon, I just absolutely love the community. As you can see, I'm an old guy, and I love the game too much to give it up. So I stay out of trouble by hanging out with the best of the best. We got 2 best of the best today. So I'm more of kind of a 60 minutes guy now that goes and in search of awesome, in search of excellence. And when I find that we now have platforms that we can bring people on, Zoom and Facebook Live, and have them share their story and their secret sauce. So I've been doing that, and it's been just a great ride. And I'm here today because I met Josh probably 2-3 months ago, and I just love where he's going. I just think it's state of the art technology. So he said, "Would you come?" And I said, "Of course." So that's my story.
Much appreciated. And thank you all. I appreciate everybody for joining on this call. And I guess a bit of background about myself. I have the least experience in this industry out of anybody on this call, but I grew up around salons. My brother had a salon. We work together now. And being a late comer to this industry, like my background was in medical research and kind of looking at data, looking at large data sets for hospitals and finding inefficiencies. And when I partnered with my brother on this project with Vish, there was a lot of things that just stuck out to me that just seemed so bizarre, that salons were just, very busy, getting lots of customers in the door, but for some reason they weren't making any money. And it's very obvious. And obviously, like, I'm biased. You put our technology in the salon and we can kind of guarantee profitability, but only if they use it. And I think that will segue well to Derek, because you've been very successful using our technology. And one of the biggest barriers that we've had to date is the salon owner believing in it, a handful of stylists really believing in it. But how is it that you've been so good at implementing, and it doesn't need to be about Vish, but more about creating culture in the salon and implementing change and implementing education? Because a lot of salon owners, and I'm sure you guys experience this with your teaching and your consulting, we're like, here's the recipe for success. There's a lot of buy-in. 6 weeks later, they're back to the same tricks. So Derek, how do you work on teaching salon owners to change their culture?
Well, I think you kind of just described human nature, right? This is a great time of year to talk about it because everyone likes to set New Year's resolutions. The most generic one is, okay, I want to lose 20 pounds. And maybe you start off the first few days of the year doing all the things that it will take to lose the weight. And sooner or later, a couple days later, a couple weeks later, maybe a couple months, you turn around and you're back right to your same habits. So there's a change in behavior that needs to be happening. And the only way that behavior can change if the thought process changes first. So that was really the reason that Jill and I created or named our company Culture Curators, because as Allyson mentioned before, it's not a one cookie cutter way. It's different for everyone. But at the end of the day, everybody does need to make profit in order to be successful and stay in business. That's just the reality. And I looked at the same thing that you were just mentioning, Josh, where it's like, wow, most salons are not profitable, and the ones that are a very low percentage of profitability. So I started analyzing every single area in the salon, and talking back to culture, it really starts with clarity of communication, having a really strong hiring process, having a really strong training system that attracts the right kind of people. People ask me all the time, how do you motivate your team? And I say, hire motivated people and then inspire them and give them something they can sink their teeth into. Because if you're not creating a culture, the culture is creating itself, and generally that's going to look pretty negative. So what I wanted to do with any change, let alone a big sweeping change like maybe your software or your color line or bringing something like Vish in, it starts with communication and understanding why we're doing something. And that can't happen if you don't have the trust of your team. So once you do have that trust, and once you have this open transparency of communication, I don't want to be the Wizard of Oz behind the big cape that people don't know what I'm doing. I have nothing to hide, and we show our team everything. They know exactly what's happening. They know exactly why we're making certain decisions. It doesn't mean they'll be happy about every decision, but it does mean that they know it comes from a sound place and a place that comes with their best interests at heart. And that was a huge part of why we brought Vish in about 1.5 years ago.
Yeah, no, that's something that we actually do in our company as well. Sometimes, to a fault maybe, but transparency is key. I think it makes it much easier if everybody understands what's going on. I think there's an illusion in the salon industry that the owner is making all of this money and walking away from it, right? They don't realize that a lot of salon owners, which is pretty crazy, don't take a salary, and they're behind the chair generating most of the revenue. They're the most efficient stylists in the salon. One thing that truly shocked me when I started working in this industry, like I said, it's been about 4 years now, involved, was there's so many owners afraid of a walkout. They're like, I'm afraid that I'm going to put these rules in place so I can keep the lights on, but I'm going to lose half my staff and they're going to go across the street. Is this, you guys already, this is an issue in this industry, right? People say that all the time. Derek, how would you that is a fear that a lot of salon owners we speak to. We love this idea, we want to implement it, but we're afraid that the staff won't use it. And if I force them to use it, they're going to walk away. What have you, how do you stop that from, how do you, I guess the question is, how do you guarantee increase retention and stop that problem from happening?
Well, the first thing that I would say is I always encourage owners, and we help teach owners to come from an abundance mindset, not a scarcity mindset. And I don't want to go to work every single day afraid that someone's going to do something that's completely out of my control. What I can control is, like I mentioned before, the people that I hire, how I train them, how they're treated within the salon, what the benefits of working for the salon are. And I want to give them many, many reasons to not want to leave. But at the end of the day, people will leave when they want to, and that's okay. I love Richard Branson, and one of his best quotes is, train them well enough that they can leave, but treat them well enough that they don't want to. And I really stand by that. I've had plenty of stylists move to a different state. A lot of times people leave because it's completely out of control. A walkout is a bit of a different story, because if you have a full-on walkout, there's something within the culture that happened that was a catalyst to that. So for me, to avoid a walkout, it's having a sound culture and building all of the things that I mentioned before. But I also understand that people are going to come and go. That's okay. It's really tough when you've trained someone from the ground up and you watch them flourish and they leave maybe right before they're flourishing fully, or maybe as they're reaching their full potential. I just had a stylist of mine. We have what we call the 100K crew at my salon. She had just joined the 100K crew last year or the year before. And she decided to move to Florida, and that's okay. I can't do anything about her desire to move to Florida and be closer to her family. I support that for her. So if I focus on the scariness of someone walking out, then I'm taking away all of my energy on building a solid foundation for the people that really do want to stay. And we have a very low turnover rate because of that. Our retention rate for employees is extremely high. So I encourage owners to think about and evaluate what are the reasons why someone would want to work for you. And then what are the other reasons why they want to keep working for you over time? Are you evolving your business and your brand enough that wants to keep, that shows those people that you're growing and they want to grow with you?
Amazing. Yeah. And to the point that we do that with our team as well, with our engineers. I mean, engineers are really hard to come by now. So I remember having a conversation with one of my junior engineers, or senior engineers, sorry, and just asked him what he wanted to do. And he was really hesitant. And he said he wanted to do his master's in Switzerland at some point. And I was just like, dude, and he was kind of hesitant to share that information with me because he was like, oh, I'm going to look to replace him. Like, dude, we'll help you get there. You don't have to work here forever. Just let us know when you're going to exit. We're going to continue to train you. And then, if you go, and he hasn't gone yet, but if you go, maybe there's some part-time work, but we're more than happy to help you reach your career goals. I don't expect people to stay here for 20, 30 years, right? It's important that we, help them grow in their career. And if there's something next that they can move on to, that, we have a good relationship and help them move on. And that's something we definitely help to try to build in our salon, in our company. Yeah. And then, so next, I guess, moving on to Allyson, one thing that is core to our brand, I think is core to yours as well, is profitability. It's a big problem in this industry. Just want to talk how do you guarantee profitability in your salon, and what are some key things that you help, people that you coach about profitability?
Well, I think the first thing is that profit isn't a dirty word. I think, as salon owners, we have to know what our key benchmarks are, and we have to know how we're doing comparative to those benchmarks. I think one of the things for us is, especially coming out of COVID, was really starting to look at every metric that we track and how are we doing? And do we have, for lack of a better word, budgets in place for those things? And so, for example, support staff, when all of us reopened, we had a couple great, amazing weeks of, yay, we're back in business, right? But now we've been riding the peaks and valleys of that rebooking cycle, right? Because for us here in New York City, I was closed an entire rebooking cycle. We were closed for 13 weeks. So, we've been building that back. And I think what's been important for us to ask ourselves is, how much should we spend on our support staff? And are we building a schedule that manages that? And are we leveraging that on a weekly basis to say, is my business, when I look at, for example, we use shortcuts and value of future appointments. Does my business withstand the support staff I've scheduled? Do I have a budget for our supplies? You know, I work with clients all the time that when I work with them on how much supplies they have in their space, they might as well become a distributor. You know, our average salon runs between $20,000 and $25,000 in total inventory. I have clients who have the same volume salon I have and run $60,000 in inventory. That's cash on the shelf. And I'm sorry, one thing better than that thing that I learned after COVID, you know, one, we're going to have a great culture. We're going to hold people accountable. And I don't take any, you know, what's this anymore. Cause like after living through COVID, I don't need to, right? Secondly, come heck or high water, profit comes first, not last. And so how do I look at what I spend? If I did $20,000 in services last week, I'm going to order based on those $20,000 in services. And, you know, last but not least, and you know, while you're sponsoring the call, I'm going to give you some props for it, because you and I have been playing around for a long time, and finally COVID made me rip the Band-Aid off. And Derek, thank you for a lovely conversation you had with my husband, Shannon King. And when we came back from COVID, we were going heck or high water, we're diving in, and we launched Vish. And we took the stance of now we're charging our clients for the product that we use on them. So not just a color, an extra bold charge, but we're charging for every service for the product that we use. And it's marked up just like retail. And the reality for us when we ripped that Band-Aid off is when we started getting serious about this in March with you, we didn't know that there'd be PPP. We didn't know there'd be an EDL loan. We didn't know how long we'd be closed. And was the working capital we had saved going to get us through? Luckily it did, and we had some other support, but you know, that was our lifeline. That's $1,500 to $2,000 a week in non-commissionable revenue that if we had to take on a loan and pay it back, that could be the revenue that pays off that loan. And so I think for us, it became, we can have a great culture, we can have a lot of fun at work, but dang it, we can be profitable too. And there's a lot of ways to do that and have fun with it. And so I think that's kind of has been our mantra and coming back. And I think as we work with our clients, even think about what we've learned as creative people. We always put creativity first and business second. COVID made us learn how to run our business or we wouldn't be here. Mm-hmm. And the beauty of that, if we can hang on to that in 2021, 2022, 2023, 2024, think of how we can come out of this, not only living in the business in the industry we love, but actually be able to profit from it and do the things that we want to do as humans and as people with that profit. So hopefully I answered your question.
No, that's perfect. Now we'll segue into Michael, but the what we've been discussing, myself and Michael and some other people have been talking in the industry, is that, you know, you're seeing innovation as being, you know, an innovation. So something we would have seen 10 years of innovation is being shortened due to COVID. Mm-hmm. And I think we do see that a lot in the industry where people put creative first and they, you know, they're afraid to charge for profit, or they're afraid to increase their prices or push the product costs back onto their, back into their client. But it's really important that a lot of salon owners, as they go through this, that they start putting systems in place to ensure that they're going to make profit, not make a little bit of money here, or I'm going to let this person go. Just build the systems in place that you ensure when someone walks in your door, you should be cool, I'm making money on them, because a lot of salons don't operate that way. Some stylists are making money, others are, you know, costing more, some services more profitable than the others. Yeah, and so I guess that will segue into Michael, but we discussed this about disruption in technology and evolution in the industry. Have you ever seen this level of disruption or any sort of big change in the industry before that you're seeing now with COVID?
You asking me, Josh?
Yes, sorry.
Yeah, I'm so self-absorbed in the tube and Derek and Allyson and what you've been saying. I've been taking notes down. If you're on this webinar, you're going to be watching it. Like my colleagues here are talking in tongues. I mean, this is great stuff. So thank you. I love your one-liners, Derek. Train them well, and they, you know, so that if they, you know, you took that from the, you know, the Go Jillionaire, but it's a wonderful one that they leave, but treat them well that they can stay. So you've all been like, and I've been writing down, I haven't thought about a damn thing I'm going to say. So let's see where, you know, let's see where it goes. Yeah, to your point, Josh, disruption, it's happening in ways that I haven't seen before COVID. I mean, I kind of smelt it, but now I don't know if smelt's a word. I smelled it, but now it's like, gee, if you're not booking online with new clients, you're going to probably be losing potential new clients to people that are. And yet, when you look at the number of salons that are or aren't, I think the exception are and the rule aren't. Like it's still like an 80-20 deal. So we could be talking about that all day long. I just on a Zoom call an hour ago with a salon owner that said, I lost somebody a couple of weeks ago, and they were on my news feed saying to one of my newer people, I left because I wasn't getting a lot of walk-ins. and everybody in that salon is new and they're booked. But when you look at the genesis of their clients, they're coming from, Instagram pages or, Google your business pages, and they're booking online. So, just somebody that's 20, 21 that was hanging out on a mobile device at 13 would go, yeah, what's your point? But, if you miss that pitch and you're still waiting for somebody to feed you in the old way, you're on the endangered species list. So, to watch that come at us at point blank is it's astounding. And I just wanted to make one other point, because my colleagues here are using language that I think is profound. The idea of transparency and that profit isn't, I loved what you said, Al, it's not a bad word. And in the old days, 6 months ago, you would hear, somebody that wasn't getting it, the owner's making a profit, the owner's making, and that what they were saying is, whatever my commission rate is, whatever's left, minus 100, that's what a salon owner is putting, in their pocket. And I would say, well, that's the truth, but it's not the whole truth. And there's one thing better than the truth, and that's the whole truth. And I've seen the prop, you use, Allyson, the word prop, where if this is 100%, whatever your deal is, that's yours. Yes, this is mine, but there's a couple of other people I need to make happy, from landlords to, my front desk to my supplies to, it goes and goes and goes. And, at the end of the run, this is what I get. And somebody that's cynical would say, well, then why in the heck would you want to stay in business? And for a salon owner to go, trust me when I tell you, my friend, that's a question I take to bed with me every night. I love people and I have a high threshold for pain.
I mean, I think a lot of salon owners that I've spoken to over the years, I think a lot of them would be better off being a stylist in another salon for the amount of money they're actually taking out of it. And I think COVID, if it didn't, it stressed the life out of us, right? Like it certainly did. Like I had no idea. We spent everything building this company when COVID hit and everything shut down and we paused all subscriptions and stuff. I thought, this might be the end of the road here. And unfortunately we pivoted and we made our way through, and we've got good investors that helped and guided me through this process. But I think many salon owners have gone through this. I think their staff should be more receptive to the idea that, like, hey, we need to make money as an organization in order for us to employ you, in order to give you the health benefits, in order to, so we are implementing a change like Vish, so that we're going to charge the product to the customer. We are going to guarantee profit margin. And I think for the salon owners that have gone through this, and we're not at the end of the road yet. Right? We still have more to go. We're
not at the end of the road at all. And I think, this is also a testament, is really what Michael was saying. It's like, this is the reality. You have to always be in evolution mode when you're a business owner. And to Allyson's point earlier, when you decide to own a salon and to open up a business, you, in my opinion, you have forfeited the choice to put hairdressing over owning the business. if you're a service provider. And that is the challenge that happens with most of us salon owners that are also hairdressers, right? We worked up the totem pole some way, shape, or form at a place that we were probably commissioned, or maybe we rented our own suite and we got a capacity and decided, okay, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to open up a larger salon with 5 chairs, 10 chairs, whatever the case may be. It's not like the typical way of entrepreneurship where you really desire to open up a business. It's kind of almost a natural progression that we feel is for a hairdresser. Okay, well, I got to go open up a salon now. But the reality is, when you decide to open up a salon, you're required to run a sound business if you want to survive and if you want to make money. And to Michael's point, like he said, to evolve, if you're not thinking and analyzing, what I did was a year and a half ago, I looked at every way that we ran the business. And I asked myself, how could we make that virtual? Whether it was mixing color, whether it was clients booking online or paying or buying a gift card or whatever the case may be, our training program, how do we do everything? How do I run my entire salon from the palm of my hand on my phone? And that was a mission that I really, really went on. And Vish was a big part of that. It was like step 3 in that process. And that's what I encourage every owner that's listening today to ask yourself, what areas of the business can evolve? What areas am I saying, well, we've always done it that way? That's one of the worst things any salon owner can, or any business owner, small business owner can say, well, we've always done it that way. But that's okay if it's working, but you also have to analyze when things change and how to adapt and how to pivot. And I think that's a big part of what Allyson and Michael have been saying as well. So 2021 needs to be about your evolution to grow, and you have to analyze what you're doing now to figure out what areas you can adjust in order to start to step forward into the new year.
And that's a great point and a great points. And I think the idea of running your salon from the palm of your hand, we're not quite there yet where you can get one sort of, the POS is where you run your business, right? That is the main hub of where your business. We are a cog in that wheel, and we're integrated with most POS vendors now. I know, Allyson, that was a huge selling point for you, the fact that we integrated with your POS.
Yep.
And you as well. I know you were integrated with Forrest as well, who both been great partners. But we're seeing this come together where some of these POS vendors that are starting to get all of these layers, and what we really need to do and what's been a driving force for us is we want to fully integrate with the POS vendors, and we want other pieces. I know, Michael, you had worked with Jason Facio, and he was talking about this company, SnapSnip, which is another piece. And I think we're probably anywhere from 12, and we're talking to all these companies and work with them on a regular basis to say we're probably 12 to 36 months out where you'll be able to get a fully integrated salon where you have 6 different pieces of technology that are all incredibly efficient at what they do, and they all bind together in the POS where you can efficiently run your salon from your phone. Because if you're great at doing hair and you can get people in your salon, then you have a business. We know the other tools that guarantee profit and can take care of the other pieces. So if you're great, if you've made it to the point of owning a salon and you're struggling with the profitability or reordering or booking clients, if there are solutions out there, it's important that you vet them, not to be afraid of the cost, not that we're that expensive, about what it's going to mean in reduction in hours of people work. And also, they're pretty cool tools that your stylists, like, it helps them do their job. Stylists don't like doing administrative tasks. They like doing hair. So try to get all of those tasks out of their hands, and I think you'll have a much more efficient salon.
Well, and Josh, to your point, how do you even make money when you're closed? Right? I mean, we've all learned this year, and to Derek's point, we've always done it this way. Well, you know what? We have an online shop now. Talk about new technology. That was a load of fun, but it's amazing when scarcity comes, right? And you're sitting here closed, staring at the walls, paying New York City rent. Yay. All of a sudden you got to figure out, well, we can't be there, but how can we still be there for our clients? And to your point on technology, there is so many tools with technology today that can help maximize, whether it's our online booking process, having an online store, electronic gift cards and all that kind of stuff. Like, there's so many different ways that we can elevate that experience electronically for our client, that I think we just have to dive in with 2 feet and Stop assuming the only way we make money is when a client walks in the door, because there is so much opportunity before they even get there to get them thinking about what could be next and spending before they show up.
Amazing. And Mike, I want to ask you, I forgot to mention, you made the point that you work with some of the top 1% salons in Summit, which, some of the top L'Oreal salons. What are some things that they have done? Because they're ahead of the curve, obviously, to get in that position. Obviously, there's not one key differentiator, but like, what do they do? How do they get to that 1%? What are they doing differently? How do they get in those positions? Anything in particular you've noticed?
Well, yeah, I say this when I stopped lying about 10, 15 years ago because I get too old to remember what I say. So just tell the truth. And I'm going to say something now, but the first answer that comes to my mind is they're engaged in this conversation with the people, the type of people that are on this Zoom right now. They're plugged in. They're on the receiving end of that kind of consulting. They're on the receiving end of that kind of consciousness, and they're following the road. Now, they're plugged into, whether we're talking about the Vishes of the world, the Forrest of the world, they're everything that's digital, they're plugged into, and they have coaches to help them to become great leaders and cultures and all of that, Josh. So, but this isn't front page news. I mean, this is not. You just look around and you can see that. But you said something a couple of minutes ago, Josh, that I really want to stand on your shoulders. 12 to 36 months away, so that everything is integrated into, the mecca of the digital ecosystem, which is point of sale. Yep. That until that happens, we're going to have to bootleg. We're going to have to find as somebody that, and I'm on that curve now, I'm going, why can't I reach out to whoever it is? I want to be careful I'm not dropping names. I don't want to be getting hate mail. But for example, a credit card processing company that offers a value added to a salon owner where, coming back to, I only have 5 or 10% left, but I'm going to pay myself first. I'm going to take this and I'm going to save this on the front end rather than pray that I have it on the back end. And I have a credit card processor that says, hey, by the way, the 1 or 2 points that we charge you, if you want, you can take another 5 or 10 points and allocate it to your savings account. And it's like, what? And oh yeah, there's somebody who's been on that choo-choo track for 5 or 10 years, and they have just this side of $1 million, put away, and it's transparent. It's not like I'm ripping off my people. This is what I'm doing with my 5%. And so I'm back here going, oh my God, we gotta plug you into every, like this is the best kept secret in the damn beauty industry. And yet, unless I get a point of sale company that writes code for me to plug that in, I've got to bootleg it. And then you get blowback from a salon owner. Well, one of my clients got double charged, and it's like, well, what happened? Well, you're bootlegging it. I get 2 point of sale companies that write that code, and the other X amount don't. 5? Yeah, and I go, why? And they don't want to tell me, but we all know why. It's because I've got 2 or 3 credit card companies that I get a back end commission on that, and I don't want to disrupt those relationships. And it's like, that's the big freaking elephant in the room. And I've been around long enough to say to a point of sale company, no, you got to go ahead and have a very transparent conversation with your credit card company. They either got to add this feature or not. But that was a conversation that didn't exist 6 months ago. And these new conversations are coming at us at Mach 5, and it's disrupting. It's all of a sudden now I'm disrupting a point of sale company, and I'm on their hit list. It's like they hate me because I'm turning on the lights. It's like light on Dracula. But damn, we got to be that transparent.
Listen,
So
we've
true.
seen it in other industries. We've seen it with, I mean, these are the easy examples. You see it with Blockbuster Video. They should have been Netflix. You see it with Kodak Films. They could have been a digital solution. I'm sure they're still around a little bit, but not on the same scale. Um, Innovation is happening, and people that are trying to hold on to the way it was done before, I mean, they just won't be around in 10 years. But it was a really interesting point, like what you said about bootlegging. I implore anybody on this call that uses Vish that doesn't get the most out of Vish, or who is using Forest or Shortcuts or whatever other POS company out there that's not getting the most, reach out to your customer success team. See what other workarounds. Like we have Vish Front Desk and we have a Vish dashboard that have, these are two pieces that we built because the POS couldn't receive this information yet. So we built these, we call them hacks, where basically they're different products that we built because the functionality wasn't available yet. We want our whole goal is this, right? We want to be the scale. We want to be the iPad. We don't want to be the data. We don't want to be the front desk, but we built those because they just weren't available yet. And the POS companies are working with us very closely to develop these, but we want to push this information back. But we've had a lot of customers in our network that didn't get the most out of Vish because those products weren't available. We've tried reaching out. So it's really important that there are more features. There's these hacks that are available. There are these workarounds, these bootlegs that you can get. It's not like, where we want to be, but it's where we are now. So we can still get the financial benefits. So it's important to reach out.
I
Because
think
like you
that's why
said,
it's so important too. Like, I think the salon owner must look at the large picture. It's really important that you can see the forest from the trees. And what that means to me when it came to a change like Vish, or when we switched to Forest, we went through pretty dramatic changes to switch our entire software. And that's a painful one. Just like I said before, when you change your color conversion and your software system, when you change those two things, it turns everything on its head. And sometimes that's exactly what you need to be able to spark growth and to create change. And I had to get comfortable being uncomfortable in this position as a leader and as an owner, because I need to be able to adapt and adjust quickly. So when we thought about bringing Vish in and we started to maybe have a glitch here or a glitch there, as happens with technology, or maybe a challenge here or a challenge there, I had to ask myself, well, is the pain of the challenge worth the reward that Vish offers? And when Vish can add 50K to our bottom line and then some, it's well beyond worth the pain of the challenge, because that these challenges are temporary. The thing that happens with technology is we all freak out when it doesn't respond to the instant. We're in this like microwave society. We expect everything right now. And when you tap, God forbid, it doesn't like respond to your finger right away. And we're coming from the days of, we remember when we used to dial up internet and talk about waiting for a page to load. It was like a joke. You were like done with what you wanted to do by the time one page loaded. So we have the benefit of kind of thinking that way. I'm a young salon owner, but I'm old enough to remember that, so I think during those challenges, it's also it really important when you're a Vish user to really have these conversations on the front end when clients are not there, when stuff doesn't hit the fan, so that you can strategize around those things when they do come up, and you can have a strategy to address. So whether it's at the front desk, whether it's for the stylist, we all talk about, okay, what were some of the challenges that came up in the last 3 weeks between our last meeting, and how can we avoid those challenges, or how do we handle them moving forward? That's a part of that open communication and transparency that you need to continue to have in order to be successful with technology. But sometimes technology doesn't do exactly what you want, and that's okay. You just have to be able to be patient through it and understand what the bigger picture is.
yeah, I mean, like you get an idea. Slack, I know you guys are familiar. So Slack went down the other day for like a 12-hour period. It's a $10 billion company. So tech, unfortunately, has challenges, but the feedback from you guys has been incredibly valuable to us because it enables us to fix the odd edge cases and improve our technology. I'm getting pinged from Sabrina that we're gone past time. Just, before we'll have a little bit of Q&A at the end, but I guess for everybody on the call here, what has been like, what is one lesson that you've learned through COVID that you'll take with your business and your consulting moving forward? Anybody? We'll start with you.
Allyson, why don't you start?
Allyson?
All right, I'll start. I think for me, we've talked about putting profit first. But I'm also going to say that this other piece to that is invest time in your team. I think for us, in launching something like Vish and giving the why and the how, when we reopened, we really reconnected with what we are as professionals and how we profit, not only as an owner, but as a stylist. And so I think one of the key things that is my mantra from our people, even coming into this year, is spend quality time talking on what grows. Invest time in how it moves you forward, whether you're in a profit situation right now that's powerful or not, or whether it's just teaching your team how to be better at what they do from a total package, not only creatively, but from a business sense. And I know for us in New York City, I mean, we've had over 400,000 people leave the city, and whether they're in the Hamptons waiting to come back or whether they've left forever, that mantra has been so meaningful for us, because not only have we been able to grow our profit with Vish, but we've grown our average ticket $50 since we reopened.
Wow.
And that's because our team has really taken pieces of their business very seriously, and profited themselves. And I think that's kind of been our thing that we're going to hold tight on in 2021, and keep the whole salon growing, not just the business.
Awesome. Thank you. Derek or Michael, when you guys want to run with this?
For me, I echo Allison's words. I cannot explain how important it is to spend one-on-one time with your team, to nurture them, to grow with them, to help them grow, to coach them, and to teach them. So when you're a salon owner, and if you're taking clients every minute that the salon is open, where do you have room for any of that? Are you creating the time to grow the business, or are you just focused on working in the business? So my focus is to always kind of fly like an eagle above the salon, see it from a bird's eye view, zoom in where I need to, and also stay above and out where I don't, and allow the team to grow because of that and flourish. So I encourage any salon owner that maybe is feeling overwhelmed with your client schedule, go out advance in the year where you don't have a client on a certain day, and block out a few hours and start doing that on a recurring basis, so that you can take that time to focus on growing the business itself, working on the business instead of just in it.
Awesome. Thank you. And Michael?
I haven't been in this inspired in a long time. You guys, this is amazing. I feel like we're kind of making history in real time here. I want to stand on both Allyson and Derek's shoulders. They always started with their people. And I'm kind of I got obsessive compulsive slogan disorder. So slogans help me, the high touch times the high tech, and the high touch is about our people. And whether we're talking about, to Derek's point, one-on-one, I'll use a summit term. Allyson probably is familiar, PDMs, personal development meetings, keep them going. That's a culture built, but the conversation now inside of that is, I love you too much to not digitalize you. So, you've been a hairdresser for 5 years, 10 years, 50, and you have a wonderful clientele, and you built it, we'll call it the traditional way, the analog way, but I love you too much to not encourage and nudge you to keep digitalizing. Because if you look at young people that are coming in that are digital, they're getting to a place and farther in, 1/10, 1/20th of the time. I mean, to Allison's point, to raise an average ticket $50 in COVID, and to do that a lot of times when the salon's closed. I mean, people have an option to book online, get a gift certificate, whatever. Those processes were almost non-existent before COVID, and they are rapidly becoming the new normal. That if not only us, but our people haven't integrated that into, we'll call it our chairside manner, we're going to be in the lumberjack business, taking down big trees with, a handsaw, when somebody else has the opportunity to take it down with a laser beam.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. And I think I appreciate you guys all so much, just everything you've done so far to help Vish sort of spread the word, and just the guidance. And it's been excellent working with you. We do have some questions coming in from the audience. One's from Patty George. What does Vish do? Vish is a color management software. You can see it in the background here, but it connects to your POS. You weigh color. It pushes all the information to the front desk. So how much color was used, if there's an extra product charge. It's about waste mitigation and increase in profitability. We tried to make this not very salesy. So if you want to take that offline, we're more than happy to give you a full walkthrough, and Sabrina will give you the details there. And she also asked, this is for Allyson, what verbiage do you use what verbiage do you use to add the guest to add the extra margin to your guest ticket? Like, how do you sell that to your client that they're going to be charged an additional $50?
So I'm gonna do this in two ways, if you don't mind. So the first way is I don't. Okay. And then I'm going to tell you what we actually do. But the reality is when we reopened and there was a fee, and it's on their receipt, and we charge them what we charge. If we're quoting prices, because we do require stylists to quote prices, we give them a range so that product charge is inside of that range. But then when it's time, when a client asks and we've got to give them information, you're welcome to check out our salon's website at hairandcobklyn.com and look at our transparent pricing guarantee. Transparency, I think, is a word for today. But we spell it out. Here's the reality of it. The number one reason why clients don't love to come to salon is they never know what they're going to pay. And so we take all of that out of there. There is a service fee or an appointment fee for the service that they want to have done. And then we charge them very specifically for the product that we use on them. So now there's no more extra this charge, extra that charge, extra this charge. It's very specific to what we do for you, and there's no surprises. And so that kind of gives you the overall umbrella of kind of how we sell it. But at the same time, we didn't make a big announcement. We didn't inject it into every service. When you go to the grocery store, they don't tell you that they raised the price of potato chips $1. You just do it. And so that's kind of been our philosophy. And I'll tell you, we haven't had one client since we reopened on June 22nd. I'll never forget that day. On June 22nd, ask us what the difference is.
And you know what, that's one of the things when I came in, even my brother, he's a stylist for 20 years, owned a salon. And when we were selling this software to salon owners, he was always like, oh, we'll do it for this, do it for this. And I was like, we have to make money. Like, we have to build this platform. There's no use of us being friendly and then not offering a higher level of service that these people are requiring. In order to do that, we need staff. So you need to make money. So that's one of the biggest things. And I think one of the biggest culprits we see in this industry are toners. If you have a bleaching service, you need a toner, right? And it's, if for some reason, it's always, we strongly recommend this to have it as an add-on service, but you need to charge for it. And a lot of the time it goes to the front desk without the toner being added. And all of a sudden it's a $30 or $40 charge that needs to be there for the service. The service requires it. And then the customer often doesn't pay for it. And a lot of the time it is just the perception of the stylist. They undervalue their work. And that's for various reasons, but the stylist should focus on the craft and the service. And Allyson's exactly right. Have it on your service menu. The customer's expecting, they're not going to, it's not a very, we're not talking about, super cheap, like inexpensive salons that you're doing it in someone's basement, or you talk about a brick and mortar store that costs a lot of money to operate. You have a service menu on your website, you have it on the front desk. Clients are expecting to pay. Just get used to charging whatever it is. And we find that, like, you implement this, and then if a customer asks, everybody's using Vish, why was I charged an additional $8 today? Which rarely will come up. So, well, we normally use 40 grams of color, but today we use 50 grams of color. And it's a very easy conversation, but all salon owners, they need to get used to asking it or having that conversation. Otherwise, they're just never going to get ahead of this issue.
Exactly.
Well, and Josh,
I'm sorry, Allyson, go ahead.
That's okay. Just really quickly, Josh, and the point that you made with toners, I'm also going to make a big aha that you and I went through when we launched Vish. I mean, we have one location next to Pratt Institute, which is an art school. And you made me, through Vish, I realized how much I was losing my shirt on Fashion Color, right? Yeah. So it's using this technology to not only charge for the service you're doing, but are we charging the right prices for the service we're doing? based on what they actually use. Because while our manufacturers give us a, our cost per application,
It's
then
not
there's the manufacturer, and then there's the reality of your team.
Exactly.
And I think you've been able to make a huge impact in a short amount of time. So I'll say thank you. And I'm sorry, Derek, thanks for letting me throw that in.
No problem. It's actually very similar to what I was going to say, because, what happens is a lot of times we come across when we're working with our clients that are salon owners, many have like a bowl charge, right? Maybe it's a $5 bowl charge, a $10 bowl charge, which is kind of plucked from air. It's a random number. It's not based on the amount at all. And rarely is that pushed through to the front desk. So when we started to really analyze what Vish could do and how it could do it, we realized we're really big on data, right? And we're really big on our numbers. And in our salon, we call it the KPIs, our key performance indicators. We want to know what our average ticket is, what our average retail, average service. We want to know what our pre-book percentage is. We want to know all of the above when it comes to our services, but I couldn't tell you any of those things when it came to the color we were using, which is the largest expense in supplies that we spend monthly.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where there was this huge aha for me, where Vish could help me really analyze what was coming, what was going, and what it was costing me. And then what we could do is we could charge the client for exactly what was used. When you go to get your car's brakes done, they charge you for parts and for labor. So I started to kind of explain that to my team this way on the back end, so we could all understand that we actually had been doing it wrong this whole time. We had just been charging for labor. We had never been charging for parts. So now we're going to start charging for parts in a very fair way and in a very simple way. And here's how we're going to do it. And that's when we were able to launch how it worked, why it worked. And everybody was like, wow, well, that makes sense. And it makes sense to the client as well.
Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense. And, we do it a number of ways. We do the parts and labor thing where you can separate it all together, but you can also budget it in where, like, you're allowed to use up to 40 grams. So, we understand there's a lot of flexibility in this industry. Another thing I should say, I keep saying one thing, there's many things, but the idea of charging your staff for the product they use is something I think this industry needs to get away from, right? The chef isn't paying for the steak, right? Why are stylists paying or getting a portion of their salary for professional product fee? We need to shift that conversation, take it away from the stylist and push it on to the client, because fashion colors. You get a client coming in now. I want this vibrant pink with all of these different highlights and all this sort of stuff. It's not the same as a new growth application. They're asking for $60 worth of product. So we have to be comfortable pushing that on.
Yeah.
And then, one thing I forgot to mention, after this call, we are going to be taking everybody's name into who attended all of the people that have watched this, and we're going to put it into a draw. So there's going to be consulting services giving away for free from Michael, Derek, and Allyson. We have a question from Anna. So she has a new salon. She has some self-employed renters that they don't feel like they're a part of the team. How do you implement the one-on-one meetings? And we have never had a salon meeting. So, like, I guess the question is a couple, and she is not the owner.
Yeah, it's a long one. I'm reading it in the chat as well. There's a lot of levels to this question. So it's a challenging one to answer without a little bit more info, but this is what my kind of piece, and then maybe I'll pass it over to Michael, who has much more experience than me. But I think it's really important to understand what the context of the business is. If it's a rental-based situation, you're not required to attend meetings or one-on-ones or anything like that. You're an independent worker. You own your own business within the walls of the salon. And I think that's important to have a very open and honest conversation with the owner about that. Sometimes you can't have it both ways. When you're a commission-based salon, generally you're looking to build a team, or if it's team-based, maybe it's team-based pay, commission pay, that's generally going to create a team-like environment. Other times when you have rented chairs, it can kind of be like a team because you can all work together, of course, you're around each other, but it really is a bit more individual and every man for himself, and it legally should be that way. So that's my 2 cents.
Yeah, my take on that, Josh, is, and I love the question. We get them all the time, I'm sure, my 2 colleagues. And, it only took me about 1 million times of answering it wrong, before you get this blinding flash of the obvious. But the question says more about the person that asked it and Derek was being very graceful when he said there's different levels. So when now I'm on the receiving end of a question like that, the first question I ask is, so what does your coach tell you about that? And the answer, as you know, well, I don't have one. And that your question is so profound, it's so big, and it requires so much. I can't encourage you enough to plug into a coach. And you say, where? Well, don't look now, but there's 2 of them here that been talking to you. The other is, I would say Vish, whatever Vish was to me 6 months ago. Like when I met you, Josh, it was, oh yeah, you got this state-of-the-art box and you pour some color in there and it's like, well, yeah, but that's not what Vish is anymore to me. Vish is as much or more of a community, a digital community of way more than salons, thought leaders. You know, you use that, and you know, the conversation we were having about, I loved how, I've never heard you say that before, Josh, about stop passing the charge on to your people. That's like asking the chef to pay for the cost of the meat. I mean, I'm going to steal that one from you, by the way. But to pass it on to the clients, and my 2 colleagues here have said how they're doing it. It's parts plus labor. Well, I know, but it's never been done before. I know, that's the point. That if you're going to be a thought leader, if you're going to be an early adopter, if you're going to be part of the ones that are disrupting rather than being disruptive, you have to plug into this conversation by plugging into the people that are on the conversation right now. So that would be my take on it.
I want to touch a little, thank you for the answers, guys. And the one thing I find interesting is team-based pay, booth renting, commission-based salon. You're all working in the same 4 walls. It's more of an accounting issue. You're just figuring out how to pay. I know the culture's different, but I mean, you just have to find a way to get along and communicate and work together. Because if you go into a salon and it's a fragmented, different booth renters and it's chaotic, it's going to affect everybody's business. It's going to affect so you should, whether it's obligated or legal or whatever the case may be, go out for a coffee, figure out how you can help each other. Just because you get paid differently or you decide that's the accounting structure, because you're working in a building and you're doing hair. And I find it very interesting in this industry that booth renting is such a huge, it's a movement, and you're seeing a lot of it. And the reason why is because salons are being run improperly for a very long time. I'm not saying there's a lot of salons that are running incredibly well. And there are a lot of salons that are like, oh, you don't have clients? Here's business cards, go hand them out. Like the new workforce doesn't want it that way. So in order for them to respond to the booth renters, give them a better way. Plug into our system. We have the software, we have Vish, we have a full color line. You think the style, like a booth renter wants to run out and go pick up color from Salon Centric or whatever, like the response to booth renters is giving them a better way. They want to do hair. Yeah. They wanted to run a business, they'd open up a salon. They want flexibility, they want to make money, and they don't want to do the other things. So I think we're going to see a new type of salon emerge where it's going to enable the flexibility of a booth renter, but purchase all of the different pieces that they can't afford and give the customer a great experience, because that's what's going to drive revenue for everybody. I mean, we're all trying to get repeat business.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
What would you tell advertised clients that are using Vish within your salon? There's a number of ways. I mean, Derek, Allyson, you guys use it. How did, if your client...
Well, the question says, would you tell or advertise the clients that you're using Vish within the salon? With us, we didn't do, I think similar to what Allyson said, we didn't do like some big blast out to clients or some huge announcement. Sometimes that creates more trouble than it's worth, to be honest. This is kind of a behind the scenes change. It's not really going to affect clients dramatically at all. And again, the conversation, if it needs to come up when it comes to them being charged for the color, we trained our front desk people on how to handle that conversation if and when it comes up. So no, we didn't decide to advertise or put out a big email. But what we did do is, I mean, it's clear that when we're mixing color, it looks different now than it used to. We're standing at an iPad, we're mixing on a scale. Those kind of clients that are curious about every step you're taking. I'm so happy to show them. And to be honest, many have been very impressed and pretty amazed by it because it's so technologically advanced and it's pretty amazing watching people mix with it. So what we have told them is the benefit to them is that their formulas are guaranteed to be 100% accurate every single time they come to the salon, no matter what stylist they choose to go to. So their formulas will always be recorded every single appointment. It's actually automatically recorded. And then the stylist has the ability to favorite certain formulas, maybe your winter blonde to your summer blonde formula, and be able to kind of flow between those and have a seamlessness between stylists, which I think is incredible as the salon owner.
Yeah, that is feedback that we've gotten. Like I said, our main focus was to eliminate hair color waste to make sure that there was profitability there, and the formula is being recorded. But we actually started getting feedback when we first released this technology that the customers were coming back like, I don't know what you're doing differently, but you're nailing my color every time. And we're just, we're trying to add consistency in every level of the business. And while we're always looking to improve, our technology is in a very good place. That what we've designed it to set out to do, it's doing it very well.
Josh, before we run out of time, I'm just guided to say this, that there's something profound that's happening in this conversation. We're just this side, just the other side of an hour. But if you said, Michael Cole, when's the last time you were in a conversation that was so innovative, so state of the art, so it's not even now, so future? I would say I'd give me about 3 hours to go on an archaeological dig because I don't remember. And at the risk of sounding like I'm doing a shameless plug for Vish, I'm not. This is what makes Vish Vish, is this damn conversation. Yes, it's a state of the art, but if you benchmark the Vish product against whatever else is out there, you're going to miss this conversation. That Vish now is a pocket of light in an industry that's kind of, knuckle dragging in terms of where it's going. You've got thought leaders in this conversation. To your point, Josh, we're 12 to 36 months away from being, it's like, well, guess who's going to get us there at the speed of light? Don't look now, but Vish. Right. And when I say Vish, I'm talking about not Josh and the company. I'm talking about the people that are on this Zoom, that we didn't come down with yesterday's rain. We've been around for a while. And if you look at Derek and Allyson's metrics, you'll see that, they've kind of earned the right to kind of take what they're telling me at face value. Doesn't sound like they're making shit up. So I would say plug in. And I think this is the first of many, many, many conversations. And the people on this Zoom, I'm looking at like three boxes with faces on them now in a Vish icon to say this, whatever we are today is going to pale the next time we get on the next Zoom call, because I think we're all inspired. I mean, I'm hyperventilating right now. I can't breathe because of the creativity that's happening here. So I'm ranting. I'll shut up, but I needed to say that.
No, it's much appreciated. It's a good place to end off. So we have gone over in time. I'm getting the message to wrap up, but guys, I love working with all of you. Really appreciate the time today. And like you said, Michael, this is certainly just a part of the journey here. We're really hoping that we're an integral part of this ecosystem. And we had this call because we know the technology is great, but the culture and profitability and the thought leadership is the more important part. We're looking forward to having more of these. I hope you guys have a very enjoyable day. We'll be releasing the winners of the different consulting gifts that you guys have provided. And I don't know if you guys have anything else to add, but I can't thank you.
Bring us all back for an encore, Josh, and then some. I think I want to keep this damn conversation going.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. I hope you have a good week.